Hello everyone and welcome back to this humble abode of gameplay and memes. Today we finally, after a really long and unexpected break, or perhaps expected at this point, we finally return to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever with another replay cast. So, before we start, naturally, since that was such a long break, two really quick announcements. First of all, as you can see right here, I have abided by the results of the poll that I posted like 3 months ago by this point. Yeah, looking at you, Elon Musk there. And I have, in fact, removed the strategic icons that I was using. I've uninstalled them. It turns out I was really worried about how exactly I was going to remove them, but it turns out there was this really convenient feature within the mod installer itself that allows you to uninstall them quickly and extremely painlessly. So here we are. No more icons like that for some time now. I need to figure out what to replace them with, because I still want to the game to actually highlight ACUs as well as nukes and all that cool stuff. But yeah, most of these icons will stay vanilla for now, until a lot of people start telling me to do something else with them, that is. Yes, and the second announcement is, or not an announcement, more like a quick little note. This replay was sent to me by a viewer, and I watched it and decided that it's probably worth looking at. So yeah, if you want your game to cast a game that you saw or a game you participated in, if you think that game was interesting in some certain aspect, you can send it to me by joining the Discord. Links will be in the video description, and posting it there. There is a special channel for replay submission. Yes, just try to make sure that the game you are sending, at the very least, doesn't have a desync in the middle of it, because, you know, even if your game didn't desync when you were playing, sometimes it still does desync in the replay, and then it becomes completely unwatchable because you won't actually see what happened. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and start introducing our players, starting from Team 1 in the purple corner. Let's start from the front, or the closest position to the enemy, or so it would seem. First and foremost, we've got ourselves TJ Coops at roughly 1,000 rank points, playing Seraphim in Color Confusion Cyan, going first land. Next up on the frontal middle position, so to speak, it's going to be yet another Seraphim representative. It's going to be OverRatedGuy at a whopping 1,500 rank points, well, whopping for this game, at least for this match, playing Seraphim in Thalassophobia blue, going first land. The final player on the front, the one closest to the northern side, is going to be Novaenon, playing UEF at roughly 1,400 rank points. I think this would round up to 14 if this was a lobby game. Playing UEF in blues blue and going first land. And last but not least for this team is going to be the prospective air player, who is in fact going first air. It is Chxzz. I have honestly no idea how to read that name. You're gonna have to tell me in the comment section if you know. But I am going to be reading that as Chxzz, because I know that it is a common thing nowadays that people replace vowels in their names with X's in case the name is already taken, so I'm just going to be calling this person Chxzz. I hope you'll excuse that. Yes, going first air, playing in Shrinking Violet, of course. Moving on to Team 2 in the yellow corner, starting from the northernmost position this time. First and foremost is going to be Noble Ice. Yes, playing Cybran at 1,100 rank points in Life Given yellow, going first land. In the middle frontal position is another Cybran representative. It's going to be DillyDally. Hey, what a perfect name for a Supreme Command. Sorry, no, never mind. This is going to be Cyborg 16. I've completely failed to distinguish between the two colors, my bad. We're going to be playing at 1,400 rank points, playing Cybran in Coordinate Red, going first land. And then we move on further towards the south. The reason for my confusion, here they are, DillyDally, in fact, in the southernmost position, playing Cybran in Road Rage Red going first land. Yes, 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 of course. Everybody at the front going first land. I'm assuming they will attempt to occupy these hydrocarbon power plants as soon as possible, because every starting location has one nearby, as is customary for most maps in this day and age. Anyway, moving on to the last but not least player for this team and for this game in general. It's going to be PerAspera at 1200 rank points, playing Aeon in fresh and fragrant orange, going first land. Fun little fact for you, PerAspera comes from a Latin expression which says PerAspera ad astra, which means basically through all the troubles we will get to the stars eventually. It's commonly used in like movies and fiction and whatnot when it comes to space exploration and research. If the work of fiction is about those, you will surely hear that expression somewhere, or it might even be in the name of the work. I think there is even a video game called PerAspera. But anyway, with that all out of the way, let's talk about the map a little bit, because we failed to do that before before starting this cast, or before starting to introduce our players. Anyway, this first of all, this match, as you can see from the player rankings, is actually a ladder match, so it was a 4v4 matchmaking game. This map is called Adaptive Ndera. I have no idea what kind of name that is. It's a 20 by 20 map, so plenty of room to go around. It's as big as Satan's Clutch and has more, seems to have more land on it, and a lot more mass extractors, it has to be said. For some reason I can no longer see the amount of reclaim we're seeing on screen right now. I have no idea what that's all about, but yeah, for some reason it should be here, but it isn't. You know, speaking in terms of memes, but yes, I have no idea what's happening or why. I suppose I'll fix that the next time we are casting, at least hopefully. But yeah, for now, unfortunately, I cannot tell you, but what I can tell you is that there don't seem to be too many small rocks or trees. Instead, there's just a bunch of big rocks, and also, well, that's not exactly true. There's a little bit of small rocks here and there, but yes, it doesn't seem to be very significant. So, while it might change the outcome of the battle, it's not like something epic, like, you know, on Satan's Clutch you'll get like 7,000 or 8,000 reclaim straight directly in the middle. I don't think this is quite the case for this map. It's a lot more balanced and spread out everywhere. Anyway, now that the introductions are out of the way, let us speed the game up and see exactly what we are in for. So yes, let's speed up to +3 for now. At least, we've got people, of course, building up those hydrocarbon power plants. Already done for certain players, it's not yet done for some other players. We can see air factories going up now. I don't think, yeah, of course the air players won't be the only ones doing that. There is, well, that's a lot of power you got there. That is a big power grid, and it looks a little bit bizarre, but I suppose at least it won't all get bombed in one go, so there is some merits to that. There are some merits to that. Only now, second factory going up for DillyDally seems to be a little bit behind everybody else, at least on his team. Yeah, it looks like not too many factories going up for Chxzz either. Meanwhile, the second factory is already done for most everybody else. Yes, indeed. It looks like for now we are already seeing scouts flying out, meeting each other as well, so perhaps this would be a good opportunity to shoot down these scouts with interceptors, if they did notice them. If they didn't, then, well, there goes that. Already transports flying out from Noble Ice, going to drop 4 engineers in this little expansion, which is hard to reach by land because there is a huge mountain in the way. I suppose the same thing will be done on the mirror slot, which is Chxzz. It looks like, well, he just finished his air factory, a little bit of a late timing. But I suppose this is fair enough because, you know, this player is a little bit lower rank than everybody else. Of course, I have no idea about the, you know, global ranks or lobby ranks of these players, so they could be much higher there, but yeah, I wouldn't know. Oh, a little bit of a mobile AD gun, as well as a bit of tanks being sent together with engineers by Novaenon. Going to build some, of course, going to build some factories as well as radars, all well and good. Better finish that factory before a bomber flies in, because, you know, these archers, or, well, any T1 mobile air defense doesn't just destroy the bomber instantly. It will drop at least one bomb before it's shot down. At least I'm pretty sure how that works. A serious air force being already built up by Cyborg as well. Obviously, you know, a bit of a higher level player realizing that in the beginning of the game everybody should be making air, regardless of what your game plan is. It should probably include some air units, especially considering this is a ladder match. We've got a transport flying out for OverRatedGuy. Yeah. We'll be the judges of that today, of whether you are actually overrated or not. Looks like he took some, well, yeah, I was gonna say he took some precautions to not destroy any trees that he didn't need to destroy, but it looks like it's not quite the case. He is dropping one engineer everywhere, though. That is pretty good. But then the transport flies into a cloud of interceptors and gets shot down with the last engineer still on board. What a tragedy. Torpedoes going up for DillyDally, already upgrading the commander 7 minutes into the game, already going for torpedoes. So the Cybran commander could be a serious menace with stealth and torpedoes. Of course, you know, he will probably, it is very easy, is what I was trying to say, it is very easy for boats to catch up with your commander, and then the stealth will be null and void. But until then, it could present some serious problems, especially when there is lots of enemy vessels in the way. And it looks like already DillyDally is going for a bit of a submarine spam, as opposed to what you normally do, which is frigates, and is already paying off. As you can see, the navy of Chxzz is completely helpless against those submarines. He's not even producing any more, nor are there any torpedo launchers, which torpedo launchers are actually excellent against torpedoes. They aren't very good against frigates, as like, I think it's like 3 or 4 frigates are enough to destroy one torpedo launcher. I could be wrong on that, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Yeah, torpedo launchers aren't very effective against frigates, but they are extremely effective against submarines. But so far none of this is happening. The commander of Chxzz is already on the edge of the map, having walked all the way from his base towards the southernmost isolated island. There is already a turret though. I mean, one turret isn't a problem for the commander to deal with. Could very easily destroy all of this, at which point he will be the sole owner of this island, so definitely something to keep in mind. A massive air force flies in from OverRatedGuy. It looks like both OverRatedGuy and Cyborg taking the air game very seriously, more seriously than their allies on the flanks. But it looks like this time OverRatedGuy comes out on top. Cyborg comes out on top when the air game is concerned. However, OverRatedGuy also arrives with the infamous Seraphim artillery and completely demolishes all of the factories that have been built up by Cyborg, so Cyborg could be in a little bit of trouble here. The air force of Chxzz supports the commander, who has already cleared out the island. Actually not complete, there are still some Medusa artillery pieces going on and some engineers in the area building up more factories while TJ is not looking. I'm pretty sure, he can't see those factories right now. This could be a nasty surprise potentially. T2 gunships already coming out from Cyborg, and they are blasting OverRatedGuy into oblivion. I wonder if he can make it into the water or not. It might actually not be enough though, because, you know, there are also... since he's got T2 here, he could also build torpedo bombers and still get OverRatedGuy eventually. Oh, yep, I already see the first torpedo bomber coming. We should definitely slow the game down at this point to at least +1. Let's see if this torpedo bomber finds the commander, and yes it does. I feel like it should take about 2 passes, maybe 3, for the torpedo bomber to destroy the commander. Of course, the torpedoes sometimes miss, you know, sometimes they collide with land and just explode where they are dropped, but this is not going to be the case, and there goes OverRatedGuy, our first victim of the day, completely destroyed by a very clever T2 air rush from Mr. Cyborg, who capitalized on the air advantage he has built up for himself by destroying OverRatedGuy's air force. Meanwhile, T3 air, already up and running for, who's this, PerAspera. Yes, as you'd expect, the air player, of course, already having T3 air built up. He's got a scout that has landed in the back of Chxzz's base. I'm not entirely sure what's up with that. Chxzz, of course, does have T3 air himself, but he hasn't built any planes yet. It's just a generator for now. It looks like TJ is still managing. on this island that he was desperately attempting to take over with his commander. The submarines out from DillyDally are already on Team 1's doorstep, already blasting all of these factories into oblivion, factories formerly belonging to OverRatedGuy. Yeah, they were, of course, since they are now they haven't transferred to Novaenon now. I think that's how you pronounce it. However, DillyDally should be extremely careful here because there is a sizable force of torpedo bombers being built up by Novaenon, and they are not being shot down by anything right now. I'm not sure. It looks like Noble Ice isn't reacting too well. It's probably because Noble Ice is busy controlling his strategic bomber, which has already got itself some kills. No veterancy yet. Might get some veterancy here, but it does get shot down by the timely intervention from Chxzz's fighters, which have finally appeared. It looks like he will lose the air fight, though, if there is one. But PerAspera realizes this is enemy territory and just retreats. However, torpedo bombers flying overhead for Novaenon. This is a serious problem because, like I said, DillyDally is not prepared for it and he just gets destroyed completely. The torpedo upgrade accomplishes precisely nothing. And goodbye, DillyDally. You didn't DillyDally for very long, have you? Or haven't DillyDally for, yeah, tenses, verb tenses, English language, something. Anyway. Second victim of the day, a revenge kill for Team 1. So now both of the mid players are essentially gone, with their bases being transferred to their respective right flank players. If we take a look at the economies now, I'm hoping we can catch a little bit of a breather, because this game is a lot more intense than I was anticipating. We can see that in terms of economy, well, I mean, it's kind of obvious. The players with two bases are at the forefront, of course, for their respective teams. And we've also got T2 Navy rolling out for Noble Ice. Unfortunately, it's just one destroyer and will get annihilated by a squadron of torpedo bombers very quickly here. I'm pretty sure some of the torpedo bombers did in fact drop their torpedoes into the sand, where they accomplish nothing. Also, the destroyer does in fact have a counter to torpedo bombers. Since it's a Cybran destroyer, it can just sprout legs and walk on land. There you go. And now it's completely safe from torpedo bombers. Of course, you know, T2 Air has both great air-to-ground and air-to-surface assault options, so it actually might just get killed by those tanks because, you know, they can get behind it. The Cybran Salem class, of course, infamous for being unable to shoot targets behind it. So it could still be in some trouble, especially with the entire fleet of Novaenon coming in. There's some destroyers of his own. So yes, this Salem class is not very long for this world, let's just say that. It's already gone, in fact, while I was talking. Alright, DJ Coops, having accomplished a rank 2 veterancy after continuously destroying new incursions by DillyDally, has now retreated, or is in the process of retreating towards the mainland. I don't think there's too much stuff in the way currently that could, you know, prevent him from successfully retreating to his base. The submarines for TJ Coops, he has now adopted DillyDally's strategy and is now pumping out submarines like crazy. However, it doesn't look like it's working too well because now there are destroyers for Cyborg as well. Destroyers are of course a great counter to T2 submarines because they both outrange them and also have lots of health to take the hits. Not just to inflict the pain, but take the pain as well. There is a bit of a tech mismatch going on right here. It doesn't look like there's any T2, never mind. There is T2 Navy for TJ Coops, but it's currently not building anything. I'm guessing he's just worried that he might not have enough income to support a destroyer, and look at this, he's only got about 70 mass per second. I think he's right. However, some torpedo bombers fly in from Chxzz, which are assisting greatly in eliminating those destroyers. PerAspera is a little bit slow to react in terms of the air force, so some of these destroyers will definitely sink. However, I don't think Cyborg has to be too worried, as the destroyers are sunk in the friendly territory, so those engineers can reclaim them and then potentially just to build more destroyers very quickly indeed. It looks like I'm not even entirely sure how many T2 factories he's got at this point, because remember, he hasn't inherited DillyDally's base, so he in fact does have 2 naval factories HQs, which will be happily pumping out more and more destroyers by the minute. In the meantime, there's a massive naval clash expected between Noble Ice and Novaenon, at the north, you know, where they belong, obviously. Once again, a bit of a tech mismatch. It looks like there's just one cruiser and one destroyer for Noble Ice, while there is lots of... okay, 2 destroyers, maybe. While there is lots more destroyers for Novaenon. However, it looks like if the... yeah, if the destroyers don't kite the frigates are actually kind of... will overwhelm them with just so many bodies, or I should say so many vessels, and ultimately, I don't think... it's as one-sided as I would expect, because yes, now you realize you should kite the frigates so the destroyers are retreating, but it looks like they took so much damage from the frigates that, yeah, now it's basically an even match. Engineers crawling around, or hovering around, since those are Seraphim engineers, crawling, hovering, I just said it and then messed that up. Nice one. Yes, just... I'm not entirely sure how they got there, but they got blasted into oblivion by another Cybran destroyer, which is walking on land, just patrolling the perimeter in the middle here. T1 attack bombers being sent against the fleet of Novaenon. I'm not entirely sure what that was supposed to accomplish, but it didn't accomplish anything, as you'd expect. Lots of scouts from Chxzz flying over PerAspera's base, and PerAspera is not responding to them for some reason. That's probably because he's now going to be a little bit preoccupied with trying to protect the commander of Noble Ice from being annihilated by a swarm of torpedo bombers. However, the air force for Chxzz is also in the area, so we might get a serious air clash here. Unless Noble Ice gets destroyed before the air force of PerAspera can arrive here, which could in fact happen very easily because he's already below... oh my goodness, 2,000 health left over. Now let's see it, because I feel like it's a little bit too late. Yes, more and more torpedoes are dropping. All of the torpedo bombers and all of the interceptors get blown up in the nuclear fire produced by Noble Ice as he explodes and leaves Team 2 with just 2 players. So now it's 3v2. However, if we see... yep. Okay, so the base of Noble Ice has been transferred to Cyborg, so Cyborg is now filthy rich. Look at this, almost 400 mass per second. He's not, yeah, he's got 6,000 in the bank and almost 200 per second in profits. Quite a little bit of income he's got, and most importantly, it seems like PerAspera has actually won air here, as I do not see any planes out from Chxzz flying over this battle site. Is that a thing? Battlefield? I don't want to call it the battlefield because, you know, it's in water and all that. I don't think fields are really a thing on ocean surface, so I didn't want to say that. Anyway, I digress. Somehow the submarines out from Cxzz are still holding back the fleet of Cyborg. I have no idea what's happening here. Maybe it's just because... maybe it's just because Cyborg isn't pushing too hard, or maybe it's because squadrons of torpedo bombers continuously fly in and destroy some of his ships. I'm assuming they are prioritizing destroyers. Yes, they are targeting destroyers first and foremost, which makes sense because once again frigates are helpless against submarines, but now it looks like the air force, the superior air force this time of PerAspera, is in the area, and it should do its job. It's interesting though that there are also torpedo bombers flying from Cyborg as well. These look like, well, these are Cybran torpedo bombers, obviously. Yeah, that is one thing I forgot to mention. The teams are basically an even split of factions here. We've got only UEF and Seraphim for Team 1 and only Cybran and Aeon for Team 2. So it's, yeah, it's UEF and Seraphim versus Cybran and Aeon all the way through. I don't think they would capture any of the enemy equipment, so yeah, it's going to be a complete and total faction mismatch as well. Okay, we've got a load of mobile anti-air guns. Of course, you know, Cybran mobile anti-air guns are capable of attacking of ground-to-ground fire. The problem is that they miss so much that the damage from them is basically completely negligible. They miss stationary targets all the time, so it's not... they aren't the greatest. Unless they are supported by actual ground-to-ground combat vehicles, they usually don't fare too well. As you can see, the lonely commander can kill like probably hundreds of them at this point and be completely fine, especially considering he's got himself a gun now. A relatively late gun for Cxzz, but it does its job, you know. A gun com is basically all you need against a Team 1 land push, which is now being commencing from Cyborg. He's got 5 factories on the shores of Team 1, and they are sending wave after wave of T1 light vehicles. They could be threatening the main naval production of TJ, which is very interesting. Although he does have some destroyers in the area, but you know, a battle between destroyers and lots and lots of T1 artillery isn't exactly decided. He's also producing T2 vessels out of his T3 naval headquarters. I guess it makes kind of makes sense, because you know, a battleship will definitely lose to all of this, but a bunch of destroyers might fare a little bit better. We will see very shortly. Okay, these aren't artillery, these are anti-air guns, and they're doing nothing. You should probably get them a little bit closer so they can actually target the factory. A destroyer just dancing around like crazy. Yeah, it looks like he should be relatively okay here. Lots of submarines coming in as well. The Air Force of Chxzz is in the area, so it should be... I think this push will peter out very shortly here. There are some destroyers, of course, and the frigates are tanking the damage as they should, so the enemy destroyers aren't hitting his destroyers, but... it's a T3 factory, it's gonna be really hard to beat. Okay, maybe I'm completely wrong, as all of the submarines from TJ have in fact sunk. There are none left, so maybe it's not as one-sided as I'd expect, with more torpedo bombers still flying in. They are flying past the ships though without dropping anything. Okay, well the next ones did drop something, but at this point I feel like the Air Force of PerAspera is still superior. We could actually check that out if we look at this. PerAspera has 73, Chxzz has 56, so definitely an advantage for Team 2 there. In the meantime, the economies are getting more and more massive. It looks like Novaenon definitely lagging behind Cyborg if you look at top performers in terms of economy. Even behind Chxzz at this point, which is a little bit surprising because, you know, Novaenon is working with 2 bases. But I am assuming he's quite busy pumping out some more navy to deal with the massive assault that Cyborg is putting out right now. This could be a bit of a mistake though, seeing that, you know, if your enemy has better economy, they generally win navy, unless you pressure them early. And now, right now, the pressure is coming from Cyborg, and he has superior economy, so this could create some serious problems for Novaenon. However, it looks like he has a solution, or at least a band-aid solution, right now. And it's called a Neptune-class battlecruiser. Yes, battlecruisers are excellent in dealing with both destroyers and frigates. And it looks like for now, Cyborg decides to retreat without pressing any further. Doesn't want to feed all of this mass to Novaenon, of course. That could eliminate the tech or the economy disadvantage that Novaenon is working with right now. Meanwhile, we probably should not have looked away, because in fact, all of the naval production now from TJ has been destroyed by Cyborg's destroyers. As you do. You destroy things with destroyers, who would have known? Also, yeah, okay, I was gonna say he might be in a little bit of danger here, but no, actually these T3 gunships are out from Chxzz. These are friendly. And they will deal with the incoming T1 spam even better than the commander itself could. However, they could very easily get annihilated by the Air Force of PerAspera if he decides to intervene, which he does, but it looks like it was a trap, and all of this relatively small squadron of fighters all get shot down very quickly indeed. It seems like, yeah, he didn't send all of his fighters, he just sent a small squadron in order to deal with gunships, which was smart. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to throw your entire air force in like that when you don't know where the enemy air force is, and I bet you he didn't know where that was. Yeah, you can see the enemy air force right now. I feel like at this point, Cyborg should construct a T3 Omni sensor array somewhere on the middle island. He might have done that. No, this is a T1 radar. Any radars on the middle island, because, you know, you're the sole owner of it, and it would reveal the entire map, I'm pretty sure, so I feel like it would be a great opportunity. No, he's just building some TMD now. I guess TMD makes sense, because the enemy is working with missile cruisers. Yeah, they aren't just good against air, they're also pretty good against they're also pretty good at throwing missiles at you, so you do need some TMD against those. But yeah, I would definitely like to see a radar T3 radar out from Cyborg in this. At this point, I think he can definitely afford it working with 3 bases. Yeah, I don't believe he has any of the sort. Though interestingly, he does own a Seraphim radar. How'd that happen? I must have captured it with an engineer, I suppose. Yeah, he does own a Seraphim radar. Yep, finally the incursion from Cyborg that was happening on the shores of Team 1 is being eliminated by the gunships. However, the entire air force of PerAspera comes in this time, and it looks like we are poised for another air clash right here and now. It looks like they are fairly evenly matched at this point, though I do see that Chxzz has a much bigger number disadvantage when it comes to these fighters. And yes, when you look at that, you mostly see the UEF air fighters dropping out of the sky, and at this point the air force of Chxzz has basically been eliminated. There's barely anything left over. So yes, PerAspera for the moment has in fact won air. And good job, PerAspera, I'm proud of you. Especially considering Chxzz's... Well, actually, I was gonna say Chxzz slightly outranks you, but that's not true. They're roughly equal. T3 engineering suite going up for Cyborg, of course, having already completed the resource allocation system. More money, more problems for the enemies, as they say, already 550 per second. Mass income, that is quite impressive indeed. Although I'm sure UD at this point would have had like 1,000, but you know, we don't want to just, you know, trash talk these players. You know, they're doing their own thing. They are pulling their weight, especially considering they're working with multiple bases and have to, you know, do a lot of more micro than they might be used to normally. Chxzz sitting around with just T3. Would have liked to see a shield or a RAS at this point for sure. Same thing for PerAspera, if I can find his commander in this mess. Oh, it's very easy to find because it's standing absolutely alone. No upgrades on the commander whatsoever. I think this is a mistake. You could have at least been using RAS the whole time. It definitely helps out when when you're the air player. RAS can support like multiple T1 air T3 air factories. Sorry, yeah, like C -14. I think if he had RAS or a RAS rather, he would have been able to support 2 air factories, 2 extra air factories. Says DillyDally. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. And yeah, there is a really cool feature here where if somebody sends a sticker or puts a sticker on the map, you can click on it in chat and you will immediately see where exactly this where the sticker is attached, even without actually seeing it on the map. So basically DillyDally was telling Cyborg to do factories, which he will now. Lots and lots of factories. Interestingly enough, they are straight up in the middle of TJ's base, which is a little bit bizarre. The TJ is not reacting to it, but I guess he doesn't know yet because maybe his radar coverage is inferior. Of course, PerAspera ruling supreme in the sky can very easily support any allied torpedo bombers that will surely sink most of the opposing ships at this point. It looks like there was a battleship, interestingly enough, so I guess, yeah, this is the time of the game where battleship combat becomes a thing. Both Galaxy class out from Cyborg, as well as T3 battleships, Summit class battleships out from Novaenon. Of course, Novaenon's naval production is highly inferior to that of Cyborg. We don't really even have to look at them to realize that. And to make matters worse, there are now T3 torpedo bombers out from PerAspera because, you know, he's playing Aeon, he has T3 torpedo bombers. These can withstand quite a few cruiser shots before they fall down. And these will definitely put a serious dent into your naval production. T3 torpedo bombers are specifically really good at sniping beefy targets such as battleships or, you know, an Atlantis or an underwater experimental that's, or a land experimental, I should say, that decided to walk underwater. So a T3 factory has been eliminated. I think there was a support factory, as the main one is no, actually that was the main factory. That was the headquarters, and now they are gone. He can no longer produce any more T3 naval vessels after that one right there. Chxzz is sending tons of energy to TJ Coops. Oh, meanwhile, TJ Coops teleports in. I almost missed that. Whoa! He teleports in and destroys Cyborg's commander. Ooh, now this would be a good time to teleport out before, you know, before PerAspera can react with like bombers and whatnot. But it looks like TJ Coops, he wants to stick around, he wants to do some more damage. The problem is there isn't really much to do damage to here. There's a couple air factories, there's one power generator, it's not worth it, yeah, it's no longer worth your life. And strategic bombers coming from overhead for PerAspera, ensuring that TJ has nowhere to run and that his teleport is no longer possible. So, a really nice skill trade, you know, you've got TJ who had barely anything left, sacrificing his life to destroy the most powerful player, or at least the most powerful surviving player of Team 2, and being successful at that. So now, battleships, says Cyborg. Oh yeah, craft, of course, yeah, you must make more battleships because there are, the orders have been cancelled after the commander has died. Yeah, this still does not look very good for Team 1 though. If you look at the map, there is so much orange on there. As long as PerAspera has, you know, some basic, very basic micro skills, he can probably manage all this. Especially considering, yeah, you look at these, you just like double click one factory, you select all of these factories, queue some artillery pieces, and then those artillery pieces go in and destroy everything. Although there are some Mutashila turrets in the remains of TJ's base, which will stop those artillery pieces for the moment. Meanwhile, though, no amount of T2 turrets can stop that, mostly because battleships vastly outrange T2 turrets, but I digress. T3 turrets aren't very good either. Those Ravagers are once again outranged by the battleships, so this base will definitely get annihilated. Oh, I think that was a chain reaction right there. Was that a nuke launcher they destroyed? Oh, I think that was. Yeah, that looks like the remains of a nuke launcher, so... Yep, 4 power generators, T3 generators, and a nuke launcher being destroyed like that is extremely painful for Team 1. This is Novaenon's main base as well, so yeah, he's in quite a bit of trouble now, only working with the remains of... Who's this again? Yeah, OverRatedGuy's base. He did manage to build up a brand new T2 naval factory headquarters for OverRatedGuy's base, but I'm not entirely sure that will survive very long under the wrath of those battleships. I don't think... Yeah, it doesn't seem like PerAspera has lost a single battleship so far on the northern front. At least on the southern front, you've got more gunships being put out by Chxzz and being completely annihilated by the air force of PerAspera, not even close. Another air fight is brewing though, and at this point it looks like, well, no, there is still a horrible mismatch in favor of PerAspera. However, it looks like, yeah, the air force of Team 1 is evenly split between Novaenon and Chxzz, so if Chxzz brings his air force to bear right here and now, he could potentially turn the tide, because you'll have 2 smaller squadrons of fighters fighting against one big squadron. But interestingly enough, it looks like Novaenon is winning on his own here. This is mostly because not the entire air force of PerAspera has been brought to bear. This is a relatively small sample of his air force. Actually, if you look at, yeah, if we press Control A or even Control F, sorry, that's my hotkey for all fighters, you can see that actually mostly his air force consists of interceptors that have been transferred over to him from Cyborg, so he's got quite a few, too few fighters, I should say. And at this point, oh, never mind, actually, Chxzz has been defeated. Oh, Chxzz tried to teleport in and destroy the commander of PerAspera. He actually almost succeeded, leaving him at just 2,000 health, and he's still losing health for some reason. Because of the torpedo launchers, of course. But PerAspera was able to react quickly enough and deploy his T3 torpedo bombers, which did in fact destroy the commander of Chxzz before he could do his job there. And now there will be some shields directly on top of PerAspera's commander, which will ensure that he should probably survive, because it looks like, yeah, it doesn't look like there are too many air-to-ground assault vessels left for... Nope, not at all. I almost pressed the score button there by... That would have been bad. If I pressed the score button, the replay would have ended. Unfortunately, this score button will just keep annoying me now. I should probably just remove it like that. There you go. Yes, the naval assault still continues for PerAspera. without letting up at all. I'm not entirely sure where this thing came from, but it's not the one I need. It's not the one that shows you reclaim. Unfortunately, that is still gone. Alright, at this point it looks extremely grim for Team 1, like I've said before. They are basically reduced to just 2 bases out of 4. You got those idle air factories for TJ, which are not being operated at all, and you've got the main base of Chxzz now belonging to Novaenon, who is producing some support commanders admittedly, although one of them got destroyed by something. I think that was just an order of cancellation. You can reclaim that, by the way, and you definitely should. Yeah, I think that was an order of cancellation when Chxzz died. Novaenon's commander also not sporting any upgrades whatsoever, a definitive mistake here. Should at least get a shield so your commander is more likely to survive, considering you are the last standing commander of your team. Meanwhile, PerAspera is... what is he doing? Yeah, I was gonna say he's walking back towards the ocean, which might have been a bit of a mistake, but no, he's not doing that. For now, he's just chilling underneath the shield. Never mind, he's going back into the ocean. Okay, you should definitely... build the D, he can teleport, says Noble Ice. No, says DillyDally. What is that about? I can no longer click on it. I guess I should just do this. What's the no about? Don't need more destroyers, battleships. Yes, yes, yes. DillyDally is pinging out where he should be firing, of course. Target priority power has been, I think he gave that order to these destroyers, so they will target power generators, which could cause a massive chain reaction. Unfortunately, there are Ravager turrets in the way. Ravagers are actually a fairly even match for destroyers. I don't remember exactly how and what the difference between the ranges is. I could probably check it out while there are still some of them standing. So, Proton Cannon DPS, yeah, that's the one. Range 80. And for the Ravager turrets, the range is 70. So no, destroyers are actually outranged by the... sorry, the Ravagers are outranged by destroyers, but just barely. And it looks like it won't matter because there are strategic bombers in the air now, completely annihilating those destroyers. No chance whatsoever, because the Air Force... I do believe the Air Force for PerAspera still hasn't been fully rebuilt. You know, honestly, you should probably enlist some of those Cybran hives that he inherited from his teammates. Build some of those hives near the air factories to make, to make them go up faster. He does have some strategic missile defense. Yeah, in terms of nukes, which I can no longer see because of the, the strategic icons change, it does look like there is a Stone Age nuke launcher for Novaenon. He is now building satellites, which, yes, as you'd expect, UEF, that's what they always do, they build those satellites. Strike at the vulnerable targets whenever they can find those. Finally, a heavy shield upgrade for PerAspera, now sitting with 25,000 extra health, as long as he has the power to afford that. A swarm of strategic bombers coming in to Novaenon's base. Unfortunately, they are being met directly with the Air Force of Novaenon. Or I should say Chxzz's base, maybe, but at this point it doesn't really matter. No strategic bombers will make it in time to drop any bombs whatsoever. I don't even know what they were trying to bomb. But regardless, they failed. They could have destroyed the air grid, completely if Novaenon wasn't paying attention. But it's not like there are many things he can pay attention to at this point. He's just got this base and his Air Force, and that's it. That's like 10 seconds of micro at most. Although I'm pretty sure nobody ever measures micromanagement in seconds, but whatever. I digress. What is this now? Oh, yeah, Aurora tanks being sent out by PerAspera, since they do not have access to the superior Seraphim T5 mobile artillery, they are forced to resort to Aurora tanks instead. Interestingly, those got destroyed by something. I don't think that'll be a problem anymore, though, because there are also battleships in the bay. The destroyers keep crawling on land. I am not sure they can accomplish anything more, though, because there are now plenty of clink hammers, which are in fact a great deterrent against destroyers. So I don't think these will accomplish too much anymore. It should be noted that yeah, since PerAspera owns most of the map at this point, he has himself over 1,000 mass per second. Compare this to Novaenon's puny 380 something. Yes, it is probably. Build maybe something big. T4 Air advises Cyborg, and yes indeed, it would make a lot of sense for him to build some experimentals right about now. Does not seem to be currently building anything of the sort though. He is constructing some, well, basically just naval vessels at this point, because he wants to ensure that there is no way Cyborg says enough torps. PerAspera replies with news, but then yeah, corrects himself with yep in English, as you probably should. His puny air force being chased down by the superior air force of the UEF. Oh, but it was all a feint, as now there are some strategic bombers coming in from Novaenon. I wonder what exactly they're going to bomb. It just says attacking, but I cannot see the attack marker. They're trying to bomb. Oh, you're right, the strategic missile defense, of course. Naturally, since they do have a nuke launcher, Novaenon still has one in Chxzz's former base. He can bomb multiple. Yeah, as long as he bombs all of these nuke defense units, he can. Oh god, I even got some power generators as well. With that, the bombers have run out, but now the problem is there are no more anti-nukes. This last nuke defense unit that PerAspera has got no missiles in it. So now Novaenon is free to launch that one nuke he's got, and he should probably do it sooner rather than later, because he might get blasted by something else soon. Although he is now constructing a teleporter. Yep, he is in fact going for a teleporter upgrade. It is going to take forever because his commander is T1. But I do not believe PerAspera knows where the commander is. Yeah, he's trying to look for him using the Eye of Ryan. He's got a plus 500 map per second in profits, and he is overflowing like crazy. Sorry, I coughed there. But now that might change very soon, as nukes are now being launched towards his base. This nuke, yeah, looks like it should get the nuke defense unit as well. The last standing nuke defense unit that will be extremely unpleasant. Yeah, he's almost charged, this unit is almost charged, but not quite. PerAspera says 90. I think he's referring to the capacity or to the charge percentage of the nuke launcher. Yes, it's not loaded, it's not going to be before the nuke lands, so let's just admire the pretty explosion, which will come in very shortly. Very nice backdrops of rows upon rows of Cybran naval factories as well. Look at this. There you go. It's not as pretty as an Aeon nuke, of course, it's a UEF nuke. He says almost. Yeah, it was probably almost done, but now the entire base is gone. At the very least his Apocalypse missile launcher is still being built up, so at least he will finish the construction of it. Might not finish the missile because his air and most of his power is gone at this point. Of course, he's still nowhere near the power deficit that would be, that would shut down his production. Got plenty more power generators all over the map. But very soon that may change, because I don't believe he's got any nuke defense units here either. Let me see. Yeah, no nuke defense units here. None on the front line, of course, because there was just one and it got bombed. On the south, there isn't any either. Oh, well, no, there is one. It's actually got 3 counter missiles. Damn. Do they know about that one? Because that one is pretty huge. And doesn't look like it. Well, they might know that it exists. Sorry, wrong team. Yeah, they know that it exists, but yeah, it was obviously out of range. Could not intercept that one missile that destroyed the entire air grid of PerAspera. I don't believe he has he has no T3 air headquarters anymore. Gonna be building a new one in a second. Random attack pings going out on mountains, sorry. Yes, a squadron of scouts flies in to try and locate the commander of PerAspera. Of course, they don't have the amazing Aeon technology of 5 Rian, so they do have to do it manually. Another nuke is flying in. I do believe it is from the same launcher. Yeah, it should only have one launcher. There it is. Another nuke is flying. TJ Coops pings out the commander of PerAspera. Thank you for your help, I suppose we should say. PerAspera still does have lots of torpedo bombers on the wing. Those could go anywhere he wishes and intercept any sort of naval target if, you know, in case Novaenon somehow, somewhere could have any remaining. And yes, it looks like the nuke launcher for PerAspera, the one he was trying to build up so hard, is going to go up in flames. Novaenon now utilizing T3 transports, the UEF Continentals, to beat back the Aurora tanks that have overrun his positions in the south. They still didn't quite manage to destroy the T2 air headquarters of the Seraphim. Probably the last Seraphim headquarters Novaenon has left over. Yeah, it looks like there is no Seraphim tech in his main base, which is a bit of a blunder, I'd say. You could definitely use that. For example, you could build a Yolana Os, you know, eventually somehow. You could build that. And, you know, on such a huge map, there would be plenty of targets for the Yolana Os to destroy. But nothing like that happening so far. Yes, T2 gunships are definitely better at destroying Auroras in comparison to a T3 transport. Will do the job a lot faster. At least when you know mass for mass. Yeah, in terms of, you know, how much mass you invest into them. Alright, Novak satellite station done for Novaenon. First experimental of this match, I do believe, is going to be flying out really quickly here. I think we can afford to speed the game up because it looks like it's no longer going to be nearly as fast. Engineers of PerAspera chasing around his commander trying to repair it desperately. Although I don't think it's needed any longer because it's almost at full health. Some strategic bombers being built up by PerAspera. This time he's choosing the Cybran bombers, which is a great idea because, you know, they've got this stealth. Indeed, if you look at his air composition, I should say, it's mostly just the bombers, Aeon T3 torpedo bombers and Cybran T3 strategic bombers. However, he's also got some Cybran fighters which are now on the way. They are flying in to intercept the ambassador bombers of the UEF, which are currently busy blasting the last Auroras into oblivion, cat. So much overkill dropping strategic bombs on Aurora tanks. They turn away at the last second, though they fail to locate the Strat bombers. Okay, never mind, this is no longer the case. Down go the Strat bombers. He's even sending more of them in, which will end very badly for all of them. No fighters being sent in, though. I feel like Novaenon should have more fighters than PerAspera does. Indeed, he's got himself 108, while it's about 37. Is it 97? What? No, it's 37 for PerAspera. A huge mismatch once again, even though PerAspera owns most of the map. This is like 90% of the map he owns. He's still having some troubles, some difficulties putting out enough air to match. And worse yet, his air grid is about to go up in flames. He was trying to build up a Cybran air grid at this point. Well, he was moderately successful at that, but now with the satellite in the air, this will no longer be allowed. You need shields everywhere now. And when a Novak satellite is targeting Cybran shields, you probably need to even build some hives, which will support the shields permanently, you know, boost those shields permanently. Ouch, that hurt a lot. Yeah, there's also another fresh nuke defense unit here, which is actually already has one missile loaded. Some bombs still being dropped. These bombs are being dropped on a massive swarm of engineers that has been brought to bear by PerAspera in the middle, or in the Team 1's base, I should say. It's currently, how many engineers is that? 120 T1 engineers, a massive swarm of engineers crawling around, attempting as hard as they can to build more and more factories. I don't think ultimately it will amount to anything though, because, yeah, strategic bombers, even though once again massive overkill, they can definitely deal with that. Still, Galaxy-class battleships on the shores are not allowing any sort of constructions anywhere near for Novaenon. The remainder of the Seraphim base is about to be annihilated. Yeah, judging by the radar coverage of Team 2, I would assume that there is now a T3 radar in the middle somewhere. Yep, there you go. There is one. Olympus. T3 omnisensor array near the middle. The commander of Novaenon does now have a teleporter as well as a T3 engineering suite. So we should definitely pay attention to that. In the meantime, though, it looks like 2 T3 artillery pieces have been almost constructed by PerAspera. Yeah, one is already finished, another one on the way. I'm not entirely sure those are the right choice. Considering how much mass he has, he could probably afford himself. Never mind, he is completely out of mass now. So I guess he did have just enough for these 2 disruptors. But now he no longer has any for a game ender. Although I would assume he would accumulate it rather quickly once he's no longer building those. Yeah, you can see already 6,000 in just under a minute. Novaenon has finished another, I assume to be, yes, another Novax. Yeah, at this point he just has to build either Novaxes or go for a Maver. No more Seraphim tech for him, or at least very soon there will be none left over. For some reason the remains of the Seraphim base are still being targeted by the new freshly constructed T3 artillery pieces. It looks like they are in fact reaching into the base of Novaenon, already hitting a quantum gateway. That is not good. You do not want to lose a quantum gateway to Cybran T3 artillery. Because these things, yeah, they can barely hit anything because they are so inaccurate. They do fire more often, so a couple of them easily overwhelms a shield grid, but still, they are so inaccurate that I don't think they will be a problem for the foreseeable future. At least for the next few minutes. Noble Ice is going for your ACU, he sees it. Well, yeah, he's got a satellite flying directly overhead, so naturally he does see it. I feel like the water here is so shallow that he might actually get blasted by some strategic bombers or even T3 artillery if Novaenon so chooses. It looks like Novaenon's entire air force is trying to infiltrate, or invade I should say. This isn't infiltration considering there is no stealth involved at all. Trying to invade the base of Novaenon, and at this point, all of the torpedo bombers went through. They will not drop any bombs, however, because PerAspera is already out of the water. However, there's another problem now, and that problem is called the Novax satellite. Obviously, you know, PerAspera does have himself a shield heavy, so it will take quite a while for the satellite to penetrate him. Oh, well, what was that? I think that was, yeah, it was like one strategic bomb. All of the other strat bombers for Novaenon have been shut down. Chxzz says, who is that again? Noble Ice says Chxzz. And now there are nukes flying towards the last known location of Novaenon. However, he is out of the way already, so it won't accomplish too much. Also, I can't see the satellite, and I think it is because, oh yeah, the satellite station did in fact get destroyed by the puny Cybran T3 artillery. You can probably see the remains of the satellite somewhere around here. I think that's it right there. Yeah, those look like the remains of a satellite, so the satellite has in fact fallen out of the sky. It is no longer threatening the commander of PerAspera. Of course, you know, another satellite is on the way at this point from another station. But yeah, good job on destroying that. And now, whoa, would you look at that? We looked away for like 2 minutes, and now the T3 artillery pieces are completely gone, and now there's a Chxzz blasting the base of Novaenon into Kingdom Come. Yep. I guess that was the reason he managed to destroy the satellite station, because he is in fact using a friggin' Chxzz here. Chxzz is excellent against the areas, of course, because, you know, you can't really protect all of it. Some of it will be exposed, and then the generators will start exploding, and eventually, yeah, Chxzz can in fact overwhelm a setup like that. For some reason, Novaenon has retreated all the way back to the corner. I guess this is, you know, this is the way you can protect yourself from a Chxzz. Hide yourself in water that is as deep as you can go. It looks like, well, the Stone Ager is still up. However, the second satellite station is also threatened. You should definitely, yeah, of course, okay, he is building as many shields as he can with all the support commanders, which are, of course, RAS support commanders as you'd expect. They have no enhanced engineering suite. Oh, well, there goes the... Yep. There goes the quantum gateway, so no more support commanders for you as well, unless you can build one in some other place. I think his air grid, yeah, the air grid is still operational. It's still putting out a whole bunch of strategic bombers, which are then going to blast the ever-advancing wall of engineers and factories. Look at this. There's some serious... Oh, okay. Down goes the second satellite station. Does he have any of them at this point? I'm not sure, but... Oh! Would you look at that? Novaenon teleports in and actually finishes the commander of PerAspera. Holy moly, what a game. Yep, he just went in, and it looks like his gun alone was enough to finish PerAspera's commander. Oh my goodness. I was hoping I wouldn't miss that, but yes, in fact, I did. And it looks like the satellite of the last surviving satellite, before it fell down, did manage to inflict enough damage on PerAspera where Novaenon could just teleport in and finish him off. Now, well, what a game. You know, you can't call this a Joe game because, you know, it was a relatively low rank. But, you know, this is a ladder game, so their normal ranks, their lobby ranks could be a lot higher. You never know. Or at least I certainly don't know. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this game, because I enjoyed that greatly. I hope you will agree that this game was quite awesome indeed. An epic plot twist right at the end. Although maybe you can't really call this a plot twist because, you know, the commander was exposed and the main bulk of his base, of his air production, was destroyed. So I don't know if you should call that a plot twist or not. Maybe not. But yes. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate it greatly. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even leaving a comment down below if you want to see more, like I just said. But yes, this is all I've got for you for today, so goodbye, take care everybody, and I hope to see you soon again on the battlefields of the future.